I'm a big techie, as you can see from my channel. I love well-designed products, gadgets, gear, my flat white coffee, all the necessary things for me to thrive in the modern world. But sometimes I need a break from it all to reset and recharge. No internet, no to-do lists, no rushing, just fresh air, good food, being present with friends. Camping is something I've been enjoying a lot more as an adult. My friends and I went to a remote off-grid spot by the water in a defunded campsite. The most direct way to get to the site is by water, so we loaded up the canoe with the gear while we made our way through dense forest, and mosquitoes swarmed me right away, so I immediately used my thermocell and tons of bug spray to prevent bites. To grab our gear from the canoe, a wagon is going to be your best friend to maximize each trip, and having the right wagon is crucial. They are not all created equal, but we will get to that later. We also found out there were bears on site, and we didn't have bear barrels this time, but it turned out okay for us, thankfully. By the way, all these items I purchased myself and upgraded over the years. A few products featured in here were provided for past testing videos that I continue to like and use. Affiliate links and any discount codes are in the description, and buying through those links will help give me a little kickback at no extra cost to you, so I can continue making these awesome free videos. It's an easy way to support the channel. A few of these items have full reviews, which I'll link in the description. First things first, shelter. My home away from home. I love my tent. Pullman 6-person tent, but I use it for one very comfortably too. You could have 6 people in there, but then you really wouldn't have gear because there's like a vestibule, and the vestibule technically sits 2 people. Even 3 people you could be comfortable in there, and then just have all of your gear in the vestibule. There is one downside. In heavy rain, water can sort of go in through here. Your main area will be fine, but your vestibule area may not be. I didn't tension these out, but even then, it doesn't cover over here. It slants down. So do bring a tarp if you plan to use this in really bad weather if you don't have a lot of tree coverage. There's a blackout material on it, which does help with sun, so it doesn't get too hot in there. Also helps with keeping it dark in there. I slept in there till 12 p.m. today. Granted, there's not that much sun. It just like kind of filters in through all the super tall trees. And I only woke up because my friend was yelling, trying to find her dog. Otherwise, I would have kept sleeping. The negative and the downside to all of that is that it really is not bright enough in there. There's not a lot of ventilation either. Like you can't open the back and have cross ventilation. So if I want light, I'll open up the vestibule and have the light and the wind filter in through the screen door, but it's truly not enough. Even during the day, you do need to have a light in there. The light that I do use is this little pump from Tiny Pump that I use for filling in my air mattress and then also lighting up inside. And I can also use it as a vacuum to take the air out of my queen size mattress. My Tiny Pump came with various attachments, and so with the combination of them, it looks so strange, but it's enough to air it. Takes a couple minutes, maybe about 5 minutes to fill it up. It's not the best air pump in terms of like the speed, but in terms of portability, this is what you get. On a full charge, I'm able to fill my whole queen size mattress, empty it out, and use this as a lantern easily 4 days for a whole camping trip. I'm good with this. It's also rechargeable by USB-C, so bring a power bank with you and you're good to refill this if ever you run out. Going into the tent, this is the vestibule area. And then here, further in, there is a door panel. And there is the main area. This is my Ultra Aircore insulated queen mattress, 50 by 78 from Big Agnes. It's rated for, I would say, 3 out of the 4 seasons in terms of heat. For sleeping, I have a 3-season Thermarest Questar 32 Fahrenheit 0 Celsius sleeping bag, accompanied with my pillow, which is a Climate Pillow X. These would be perfect for backcountry camping as they pack down really small. And yes, I am on a queen size mattress, but it ensures I don't slip off and I'm more comfortable than with my smaller and thinner sleeping pad that I originally had. And the Mummy sleeping bag is designed to be roomier and accommodate many sleeping positions like side sleeping, so I don't feel restricted thanks to the extra wiggle room. But I still get all the benefits of warmth, which on colder nights or months is essential. The wind picks up, it really makes a lot of noise in the forest. I want to show you how extra my friends were. Their tents are massive. 8 to 10 people tents, and they can stand in their tents, which is like the ultimate luxury. And they have like 2 bedrooms in their tent, but they're like 1 to 2 people per tent. I can't stand up in my tent. Okay, having the right camping chair is so key. I've had a couple, they were either too big, too small, too cheap, not comfortable, would break. So you're looking for durability. I'm personally also looking for portability. This is the chair that I went with. For my size, it's perfect. It's rated to hold up to 300 pounds. Plenty spacious for me. It's called the Helinox Sunset, and it's their version 2, and it's got really cute colors. You can also put something back here, so you, like a sweater even, to just make it even more comfortable. The reason that I really like this is it's, 1, super easy to put together. very small because I had a massive Costco camping chair before, but it was so big that I just would not bring it with me anywhere. This I end up bringing with me even in the city for so many things like watching fireworks because it is so portable and it's so easy to assemble and disassemble. But it's also not the cheapest. Once in a while you do find sales, but it's also super worth it. There was another version from Mech, a bit shorter and a bit cheaper, but it just wasn't as good. And the reason that this one was more comfortable, for me anyway, the high back, that little bit extra really helped. The height of the chair also makes a huge difference. The other one was just slightly low that you were kind of just like this in the chair, but this feels like an actual proper chair. Like I don't feel like I'm compromising because of its portability, which is incredible. The tubes also were thicker than the Mech chair, so I just know it's more durable. There is, however, missing a cup holder on this, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because the floor is so close. It doesn't really feel like that's something that I absolutely need. Even when I did have a cup holder, this cup, for example, would not hold in there very well. For the kitchen setup, I have a few key items that I use that are compact and really functional for their use. In general, I look for camping items that prioritize portability with good functionality. I need a good working surface and some storage. I use a Decathlon table that's easy to put together, and it was rather inexpensive for 100 Canadian dollars in 2024. Small but very useful with lots of storage, side pockets, a garbage holder. It fits my pots and pans, my AeroPress. I have an open shelf to keep my tabletop surfaces free of clutter, and 2 shelves that you can zip up so I can even keep my paper towels in there. Now, I highly recommend this, but this item I think is discontinued for now. Check the description for the same equivalent. Maybe they'll restock. It's also the perfect height for me to use as a portable DJ stand. So that's unlikely to be a need for most people, but that height does make it very comfortable to use and prep food on as well. It's at a much higher and more usable height than a lot of portable tables. I'm only 5'3", which is 160 meters. The speaker has been my go-to for music, movies, and shows with the projector over Bluetooth. It's small enough, but still has decent power and volume. The main reason I got it though is because it's one of the smallest Bluetooth battery speakers I could find that still has an aux input, which is hard to find these days. And that gives me near zero latency when I'm DJing. For cooking, I have a few key items. This Camping Moon portable burner with igniter. It takes butane, which is super easy to buy and lasts a long time. You can also easily adjust the heat. And for a few days trip, I only need 1 butane can for me and my friends, but I usually bring 2 to be safe, especially because I often will have one that's already been used up a little bit. Very powerful, especially when I pair it with my heat exchanger pots and pans, so I maximize my butane energy and waste less time watching water boil. I have this 600 milliliter heat exchanger Firemaple pot, which I cook and eat instant noodle out of, but I can also use it for oatmeal water or to boil water for my coffee. For more serious cooking needs, I have my YC 2-in-1 pot and pan. I had a smaller set before, and even for one person I found it was way too small to be properly functional and useful, so I got rid of those for a bigger set. In this case, I also brought my carbon steel pan. It's like cast iron but less heavy, and as much as I like my YC 2-in-1 pots and pans, it can have a tendency of scorching and getting too hot because it is aluminum. But my friend did bring her seasoned big cast iron. It was really cool because she just cooked it directly on the fire embers. The first night, we did take it easy. I cooked myself a delicious Cantonese chow mein, which honestly I was quite impressed I did this camping. Not that difficult. I prepped the sauce at home, which saved on space in my cooler and cooking time when I was there, and then I assembled it all in the same pot. We'll talk about the cooler later. It's a game changer budget Yeti style cooler. That Cantonese chow mein was delicious. It was such a luxurious meal to have in a camping environment and deceptively easy to make. Highly suggest. As we transition to nighttime, so comes darkness. Well, that sounded a lot more ominous than it had to be. Let's talk about lights. For portable lights, I brought my Petzl headlamp, which I love for its portability factor, but it's not bright enough. I also brought my Wuben G5 that was previously sent to me for testing, but I do regret not having brought my Wuben E7 that is brighter and has better runtime, as we were in the pitch dark and having a strong light that lasts was essential. The G5 is definitely plenty bright, don't get me wrong, but when you max the output, which I was doing, the runtime is a little less than an hour, so it goes pretty fast before you need to recharge again. Whereas the E7, first of all, I have a headlamp band for it, but I can also use it standalone, so that's really great for camping. But it also has an exchangeable battery that you can buy separately, which is a rarity in today's modern world. And it even has an extender, so lighting would have been strong and long and would have been much easier with the E7. And now this is definitely overkill, but a while back, Zhiyun contacted me to review the C100. That review was wildly relatively unpopular, which is unsurprising, I guess, since my channel is not really directed towards professional lighting for photography and video. But I did want to review it because I wanted something that was easy to transport and for the music mode, so I saw more functionality used with this. In the end, the music lighting mode ended up being a little bit lackluster because I just can't customize the sensitivity or light patterns, but I have been bringing it with me to a lot of events because of all the lighting customization and all the other modes, tons of bright colors. It's also battery powered and can be charged with a power bank. Kind of been my go-to lighting for events. It's definitely not going to be a light that I suggest that you get for that, but if you have some lights around that are portable that are not necessarily for camping, could be good to bring them along. Another light that I pretty much bring everywhere, from cottage hangouts to park picnics to camping, is my rechargeable fairy light. You can cycle through various modes. It charges via USB-C, and I have warm white and RGB lights. The warm white is actually more of light yellow, but it does the trick and sets a mood. For about $20, I really can't complain. It also coils up neatly for easy storage. And that's enough for the first night. Time for a good night's rest in some peace and quiet. Also, if you've been thinking about starting your own YouTube channel to share your take on gear or create content around things that you're genuinely into, I'm running a mentorship that helps people do exactly that without burning out. I shared the systems that helped me stay consistent and grow in a way that felt aligned. I'll drop the link below in the description if that's something you've been sitting on. The next day, I woke up at noon thanks to my darkroom tent and the forest coolness and shade. And like many, I am not a functional human until I've had my coffee, so thanks to the heat exchanger Firemaple pot I brought, it boils fast at half a liter in about 95 seconds. It's usually ready before I am. My camping and travel go-to coffee combo is the EasyPresso Q2S hand grinder, which has a 38mm burr, and it fits inside of my AeroPress chamber. So I always leave it in my AeroPress bag so I can throw it into my bag whenever I'm traveling. Easy, no fuss, simple to make delicious coffee. We're about 40 minutes away from the closest convenience store. Having a good cooler is so important because we're gonna be out here for a couple days, 4 days, 3 nights, and we have a bunch of meat with us, which you obviously want to keep really cold. The more insulated your cooler, the better cold conservation. This is an Amazon cooler. Yeah, you heard right. Amazon. It's also a roto-molded cooler, much like you'd see on a Yeti cooler, but half of the price. Not the lightest cooler for sure, and it looks pretty decent size, but the interior dimensions are quite small and you can't bring that much. So right now in here I have only the essentials that will go bad: dairy and meat. The interior dimensions are so small, and the reason it's so good is because there's a lot of insulation on here, and that's what keeps everything cold. Insulating and having a cooler at the sacrifice of interior space. For 1 to 2 people, this is really great for the amount of days that we're going. And then this is a stretch panel that I added after the fact, so I could put a couple of fruits or easy access things at the top. They claim the ice can last 3 to 5 days or longer if pre-cooled. On this trip, I didn't pre-cool. I had 2 packs of cubed ice. There's ice at the bottom as well. Couldn't find any block ice, unfortunately. We were not in direct sunlight. Temperature was about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius every day, and I had ice for all 4 days. I mean, on the 4th day, it was starting to be more water than ice, but still. And then when I got home, the cooler water was 3 degrees Celsius. That is 1 degree colder than my fridge temperature. It also does have a bottle opener and measurements on the top of the surface, which I think is geared towards people who fish. Okay, let's talk about wagons. The easiest way to haul stuff around is a wagon, but you can't just get any wagon, because my friend got a wagon that was really cheap and it broke pretty much on the first use, especially because we're like kind of in an off-road terrain. This is not so bad, but when we're going from the car to in here, there's a lot of logs and rocks and swamps that need to be traversed. This is the best wagon I found. It's from a company called Mac, and what makes this wagon really good is, first of all, the massive wheels that are actually rubber. I don't know if I could replace them, but they're not just a piece of plastic. You could tell that the bearings are just super thick weight. I can also lock it if I need to, but there's not really an incline. The frame is massively sturdy. So these are things that you want to look for if ever you buy a wagon. This handle is going to be twisted and you need something very sturdy. This double frame here helps to make it very strong as well. Like, this thing does not budge, barely. And you got the bottom part, which is really strong. Like, these are the weak points, these are the things that are gonna break. So those are the things you wanna look at. There's also like bottle holders. If I wanted to put it away, it's so easy and it folds in so nicely. You just pull this thing right here with the included buckle, close it all up. You even have a little handle. Now you can just carry it. Put it in your car, store it away. And then when you wanna use it, boom, ready to use. There's an opening over here to put long items that stick out. Thick frame, good wheels, a really good handle that is strong against twisting, and pulling. And then of course, easy to store because they don't all store the same way. The mosquitoes weren't as bad during the day where we camped. It was definitely bad in the denser forest areas and if the sun wasn't as strong and at dusk. I got myself this thermostat right before the trip after watching a video of someone trying all sorts of mosquito repellent stuff and testing it by sitting in a forest getting bitten by mosquitoes. I will link his video in the comments. Thank you for your service, sir. I usually get really bad allergic reactions, so I definitely try to avoid mosquitoes when I can, but I don't like using mosquito repellent on my skin, and I'm pretty sure it worked because the moment mosquitoes would start to come out and bite, I'd turn this on and after a while I'd notice I wasn't getting harassed by them as much anymore. I did keep it very close to me. If I was too far from the fire or the fire was out, I had this with me at all times. And I got this particular format because I can throw it into my water bottle pocket of a backpack for hiking. I went through an entire pack of these very quickly. You get butane for the fuel source that heats up with the blue pads and releases something, probably very chemical, in the air to create a dome protected barrier. And when it's done, it turns white. I find the pads do run out faster than the butane though. Pro tip, you can in fact reuse the thermosol butane, fill it. I found a video of someone showing how, so you can save some money and there's less garbage. Both good things. I also used some old school mosquito coils. We didn't need to bring any firewood with us because we were surrounded by fallen trees and there was no shortage of wood around us for us to cut. Thankfully, the boys were more than happy to take care of that for us. And my friends insisted that I film an epic slow motion firewood video. Sasha insisted to mention that he normally would not have used an axe for cutting this wood, but did so for the sake of the video. Time for some lake fun! I used the same tiny pump to fill up my beaver floatie, which is actually quite big and has 3 parts to it. It didn't take too long. I didn't time it, but I was able to leave it and have it fill up my floatie, hands-free, which was nice. My friend also had a portable raft that we anchored in the middle of the lake and we just hung out with some music. I don't have any additional footage, but here we are on another weekend chalet. Finding your people you love spending time with is everything. Canadian friendship adventures! And by night, that floatie ended up becoming our camp mascot. It actually spent more time in our camp as deco than it did in the lake, because the lake was a little bit cold for my taste. I did put my Zhiyun C100 light into the wagon and lit up the body, the Woobin G5 on the head, and look how glorious my beaver is. This is from a Canadian company called Floatie. It's pretty genius, no? My friend's favorite thing to do is to go camping and watch Naked and Afraid, and I might have to blur some of it if not I'll get flagged, but it's a show that I had no knowledge of until they introduced me to it. So every evening to wind down, we'd have a TV marathon of shows or movies that we preloaded. We had the Capsule 3 projector, which is fantastic for this great quality. We had an HDMI to USB-C cable, and it's very easy to mirror off your phone or a laptop. We actually forgot the projector screen, but thankfully someone had a big gray bedsheet, which worked pretty darn well. Even with that, the colors look great. Hoisted it up on some trees with some ratchet straps. We had a lot of tech to power, so I brought a 30-watt portable solar panel. Normally that's enough, but our campsite didn't get great direct sunlight and some days were cloudy. Next time, I'll definitely bring a bigger power station and larger panels. That said, if you're not running as many devices, this setup can still go a long way. The projector is very power hungry, however, and it has a runtime of 2.5 hours on eco mode, which is a 60% brightness. When I would lower the brightness to 20%, which was still very bright, especially in darkness, it lasted over 3 hours. And I'm planning on picking up a second one of these power banks that's powerful and has a handy screen to show energy input and output with a time estimate. I question the accuracy and it fluctuates a lot with solar, but at least it gives me an approximate, which is helpful. The projector is a high quality 1080p and can recharge via a power bank with a minimum of 45-watt power output, which makes us perfect for camping. And all good things must come to an end. That is, until the next one. That was such a perfect long weekend. The weather and adventures, amazing. I felt so recharged and could have easily stayed 1 to 2 days more. But the fun will continue to go on. Keep going on adventures, big and small. It's all about making memories, spending time with loved ones, and as always, having the right gear does make things effortless. Too sad to go? This doesn't have to be the end. You can check out these videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!